Good morning, Illini. Welcome back. I'm Matt Schrock, your host here with other Healthy Illini podcast, and I am thrilled that you're here with us. Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been with us over the past 2-year journey, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining in. I hope that you're doing well, but we're excited to bring you topics and things that will help you in your health and well-being. And today is one that is maybe a little bit different than some of our other topics, maybe a little bit different approach to it. And that's one of the things that I really love about this podcast is I get the opportunity to learn myself, but also talk about a wide variety of aspects when it comes to being healthy, when it comes to well-being. And so we have one today that you might not have thought of, but I'm really excited to share with you. So we're going to jump right into it with my guests. I have 3 guests with me today. The first is a return friend of the program, as we'll call him. Melvin Fenner is a Senior Assistant Director of Medical Systems and Compliance. He works with Student Affairs Technology and here at McKinley. He's been on the program before. Mel, thanks for coming back.
Thank you. I always enjoy the opportunity to, come and talk about what we're doing.
Well, I know the things that you work on, you're passionate about anyway. So whether we're on air or not, we're going to talk about these things. Might as well put them on air. I'm also joined by 2 members of the staff here on campus that are with Rockwire. First up is Vanessa Burgett, who is product lead for design and user research with Rockwire. Vanessa, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Also joined by Jake Fava. He is a user experience researcher and designer with Rockwire. Jake, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Matt.
So throughout the history of this program here at Healthy Illini, we've talked about the college experience and healthcare and how in general that has been influenced by technology. We can see it everywhere. We see it continually. Even in the past couple of years, the influx of how we've utilized technology has really accelerated. And so that's why I wanted you to come talk today, because there's actually a tool available that some may be familiar with, but they may not be familiar with it in the aspect of health and well-being. And that's the Illinois app. It's one that if you're on campus at all, you're going to hear about the Illinois app. You're going to see advertising. You're going to see marketing about that, trying to get users to be aware and use the technology as well. But before we jump into that, I do want to maybe give a little history and give a little clarification. So Mel, I'm going to start with you because you're kind of have a grasp on this really well. For those who have been around the university for a while, they may have been familiar with the McKinley Wellness Guide, which was an app that McKinley put out as a unit. And so they may be thinking, oh, that's what we're talking about, the Illinois app, but it's not really. It's almost like the next generation of what was done there. So if you would just give a little background on the McKinley app and how that kind of led to what's going on with the Illinois app in this area.
Absolutely. So let's see, the year was 2016.
Man, that seems like a lifetime ago.
It does. So I had to stop and think about it for a second. So I joined the university 2016, and our, we'll say director of marketing at the time, was working with a vendor on creating an app for McKinley specifically about wellness content and as a way to pull together resources. And so that was the McKinley Wellness Guide app. We got it in app stores later that year, maybe early 2017. And it was really one of the first opportunities we had to pull together the resources, because so many students don't realize that there are tons of wellness-related resources that cover all the dimensions of wellness, from physical to environmental and, financial wellness, mental health wellness. And it was really an opportunity to pull that together in a format that is familiar inside of a mobile app.
And it was, I was well received. It was utilized. It was really, it was active and viable, and it was a really good app. And that led to really open the door in some areas on campus to say, apps might be something we could utilize. And they started popping up in other places.
Yep.
But because there were so many different ones, the campus itself said, hold on, let's try and let's make one.
Exactly.
And that's where the Illinois app came in. So as students coming in, they may have a wellness app. They may have something that does scheduling. They may have something that does all these types of event planning kind of thing. Why should they switch? What makes the Illinois app, for students especially, what makes it so viable? What makes it something that they want to learn? Because, we all get stuck in our ways. I don't want to learn something new. I don't want a new program. I don't want a new interface comes out of my phone. I'm kind of annoyed because I'm like, I like the old interface, even though the new one might be better. But what's the incentive for students to be jumping into this?
I don't think we're looking to convince people to use the app. I think they can find value in it. So, for example, we have daily wellness rings, right? And they can choose to use another tool because what we care about is that they're managing their wellness and their well-being. But when we were discussing this new feature about a year ago, we were saying, while some students may have access to an Apple Watch, many students may not. So if we're delivering something that gives a student access to something for the first time, there's value in offering it, even if it is redundant to other students or even the majority. Like if it helps a few students learn about managing wellness, why not?
I want to come back to the wellness rings and what that means, because I'm not an Apple user. I know. Shame on me. But I'm okay. I know. I'm not an Apple user. So when I first heard that, I was like, I don't know what that means. It means nothing to me. But before we get into some of the specifics of that, I know that one of the things that in development of this was to try and make a one-stop shop kind of idea. So how does this give students that they only have one thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's of course we're here to talk about wellness, but it is bigger than that as well. We talked about the McKinley Wellness Guide as a way to centralize resources, but even for the Illinois app, I mean, it is the centralization of resources around campus of various areas, right? Whether it be academic or event-related activity that's on campus, certainly wellness. But I mean, the overall goal of that we had when we introduced the Illinois app back in 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, was how do we pull together all of these various apps that's on campus already and kind of create like I said, one-stop shop, one pane of glass, one mobile app for people to use that connects all those resources together.
And really there's two benefits to that. One is if you can use one app instead of flipping through 5, that's usually nicer. The other thing is, especially when we're talking health and wellness, is that there are a lot of resources that students aren't aware of. And if you don't know they're out there, you can't use them. You don't even know to look for them because you don't know they're there. But if we can consolidate all of these into one app that has connections to all of them, then as a student uses it, they might find new ones. They might also be directed towards them. And this is something in the Illinois app that I think is really cool that we just rolled out fairly recently that I think can be hugely beneficial for our student population, and that's the screener, the health screener, the wellness screener, just to see how that can direct traffic for that. So I want to get to that. I want to talk about the wellness rings. So those two things, the health screener, the wellness rings, if you would just go a little bit, not a deep dive, but a little bit farther into it and kind of explain what it is and how it functions.
Yeah, y'all want to talk about the wellness rings? I mean,
we can talk about that, but I was looking at you for the screener.
Hey, well, let's talk about the screener. Okay, so we introduced the screener earlier this year, right? And it is it's essentially a survey tool that students can use to, like you say, help them find the right resource given the symptoms that they find themselves having or the situation that they find themselves in. Think of it like instead of going to Reddit to say, hey, I woke up this morning and I've got green snot coming out of my nose. Instead, pull up the Illini Health Screener in the app and under the wellness section and key in those symptoms that you're having. And then we can give you some suggestions. It does not replace medical advice. I'll just put that disclaimer out there. But it does give you some suggestions that are vetted, that we've reviewed and approved. So, doing that, you may get suggested that you go get some items from the self-care stations, right? We talked about the vending machines around campus and the self-care stations that are available. It may make a suggestion to go get something like that, or to schedule an appointment with a medical provider, or to read some self-help content. Maybe you wake up and feel, really anxious one morning or sad or something. The screening tool uses in the background clinically approved screening tools that if you were to talk to a medical professional, they'd be asking you some of these same questions. And so again, it really is just meant to direct the student to the most appropriate resource given what they are saying is going on with them in that moment.
And it's not, I like that you said it's not replacing medical advice, and really it's not even really giving that level. It's giving you first steps.
Exactly.
And that's really important because for our student population, we have students that have grown up in the area, have grown up around the world, who may or may not be familiar with American healthcare or the options in the area. And again, you don't know what you don't know. It's really hard to make that first step of navigating if you have no idea what you're even looking for. And so this starts that process.
Right.
And that's partly why it's so important to have all those resources in one place, because it can pull from all those resources. So I'm thrilled about the health screener. I think it's a huge tool. And I've said it before in the last couple episodes, as somebody who has a new college freshman that we just dropped off recently. It's great.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah. She's states away. So it's one of those things like we're trying to figure out what resources do you have? What is available here? How does this function?
Yeah.
And so having that for our students here, I think, is just a huge benefit and something that they can really utilize. Now, on the other side of things, well, I shouldn't say the other side, but another aspect of things is the daily wellness rings. So first off, what is a daily wellness ring?
Yeah, so I'd say I'll start with a huge part of our job as design research is talking to students and listening to them, understanding their needs, and then finding ways to translate those needs into parts of the app. So one thing that we were hearing over and over from students is how hard it can be to prioritize your health and wellness, especially when you're under these periods of immense pressure. When it's during midterms and you got a lot of assignments due, whatever that looks like. So in response, we've developed this feature we call the Wellness Rings. It's an interactive tool inspired by the Apple Watch activity rings, trying to tap into the same motivational framework to instead motivate students to keep self-care in their routines, to make sure that they're prioritizing themselves when they need to.
So this is one of those things where you set a goal and it tracks how close you are to the goal. Is that what I
Exactly right. So you say, I want to make sure that I do some sort of physical activity every day. So you can have a ring that's devoted to physical activity. And when you complete that for the day, then you can tap it off and you get to see the ring get filled and confetti sprays on the screen and all that stuff.
I love the confetti.
It's great.
Nice.
And I know a lot of people that are checklist people, and that this is one of those things that it's a huge, like, my wife will do one where she'll put something on at the end of the day on the checklist so she can mark it off the checklist, even though it was already done, just to see it checked off. Those type of people like to see that visual affirmation. And so that's huge here.
We intentionally paired it with a to-do list to help students feel less tempted to maybe put in all their academic goals, so that the wellness rings could be a place that was dedicated to things for them that were maybe separate from their academic to-do. So, for example, anything as small as maybe stretching or have you talked with a friend today? So we're encouraging students to think small in terms of what it looks like to take care of yourself.
And what I've heard, and that's something that I really enjoy, is that you talked about it's every student can put in what they want. So it's really customizable. Which is something that's really I'm passionate about. If you listen to these episodes through our history at all, you'll hear me talk about the fact that there's commonality among people. For instance, here on campus, we have one major commonality. All of our students on campus are students of UIUC. That's a commonality. So the way you go about how you go about your day is very individual. Even roommates who have so many commonalities, they're still individual journeys. And so with this app, the way I understood is that you can do a lot of customization. You can, and on the individual level, but also on groups level, if I'm understanding it correctly. So would you talk a little bit about how that might work with that kind of customization on, from large scale groups or even to the individual?
Groups first or favorites first?
Well, maybe groups first. Groups are highly customizable in that you can really use them in lots of different ways. Like, it could be used for a study group where maybe you have a group project and there's 5 students. You could all get in a group and have it be closed to just the 5 of you and go back and forth and communicate that way. But you also can start one for yourself. Like one of the most popular groups is about squirrels. And we love that. It's fun to see that people are taking a moment for themselves, wellness, #wellness, to take a photo of a squirrel and share it with the community on campus. So groups are really something that students can make their own. They're allowed to go in there without, permission and create a group. And of course, it's all with the code of conduct in mind. So it has to be appropriate, but it can be fun. It could be academic, something in between. Campus Rec has a wellness challenge group that they're going to be posting and have been posting, different challenges around movement or nutrition. So there's quite a variety of groups out there, and we hope more people will jump in and use them.
And then Jake, you were mentioning favorites. That's something different, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So in addition to the customizability in the groups and the way you can approach that, one of our goals is, in an effort to support every student's unique journey through college, like you were saying, Matt, and their unique definition of what success means to them, the whole app also has this principle of customizability. So when a user first opens the app, you're greeted by the favorites page. And the favorites page for each user is totally customizable. So you can put exactly the tools, utilities, and resources that you use day to day on your favorites, and none of the things that you don't.
That's the heart of the app, by the way. The heart of the app is understanding favorites and knowing that you can go throughout the rest of the app, discover what has value to you, and star those features and make favorites your own. So like we know people use the Illini ID for campus rec scanning and scanning elsewhere, or dining. And yes, if you're a junior or senior and you have no groceries, you can go to a dining hall and eat there too. So you can totally make it your own, which again is the heart of the app.
And that can be adjusted as you go, because like you said, what success means to you. Success as a freshman means something different as success as a junior.
So true.
It just does. As a freshman first semester, your success is you survived. By junior, senior year, you have a plan. You have an internship. You have these kinds of things. It's totally different, but you can utilize the app in different ways at different times of your journey to help support you in that.
And one of the ways that we're able to provide that support is, once you download the app and install it, is making sure that you log in, right, and set your permissions to the right level. You could totally be a guest user. You can download it, install it, and see some general information, maybe campus guide related content, just kind of, events, kind of what's going on campus. But to really get that personalization, once you log into the app, then at that point, we have a chance to understand what college you're in or what year you're in at the university and begin to offer up resources that are specific to you.
I am going to ask a follow-up on that. That is maybe not the most exciting part of the app, but I think it's important when people hear that. They hear, oh, so you're going to have my data. Oh, you're going to have my information. So if you would talk security for just a moment, and just share how this is something that is trustworthy, that you don't have to worry about that side.
It is, yeah. I can tell you the Illinois app has been probably one of the most reviewed apps on campus of any of them. I mean, we have a very strong partnership with the Privacy and Security Office. They're constantly looking at the app and how the data is stored. A lot of the information is stored within the app itself as opposed to more globally. I remember during the pandemic, for students that have been here for a few years, we have the Safer Illinois app. And not only were we keeping the campus safe, but the app itself was so safe that we didn't even know what information was in it when somebody got test results. So it made troubleshooting very difficult. We've carried a lot of those concepts forward where a lot of information is stored, just within the profile for the user. And that's great because it keeps it secure. Not always the best for troubleshooting because we can't always see what the student sees in their app. But yeah, we've checked a lot of boxes when it comes to privacy and security for the Illinois app.
Because I know there's somebody who's going to be listening who's going to have that question pop up right away.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that we touched on that.
Yeah.
And if they're really worried about it, and it's not all or nothing, like users can log in with their net ID and they can very much so choose their privacy level. While you'll have the most access to content at 4 or 5, if they're worried and would like to engage less, they can be a privacy level 1, 2, or 3. So it's in their court.
Again, customizable for what you want, and it's your individuality that you can express through that. Now, before we finish up, because we are running short on time, because again, we could talk about this for hours, I know. But before we do, first off, this app is available on all the app stores, correct?
Well, yes, all as in Apple and Android, unless there's a new one. We got those two covered.
But you can find it everywhere.
Yes.
And then the second question I have is, okay, I've downloaded the app, I've logged in and everything. How do I find the wellness stuff? Is it a first thing, or do I have to travel a little bit?
We have elevated wellness and tried to make it as obvious as possible. So at the bottom of the app, there's a menu that has some of the we'll say highest use categories, and wellness is one of those. So bottom, I believe to the right, that may change as designs change, but for sure, wellness is located at the bottom. You click on it and it opens the world up to you as far as the wellness tools that are available within the app.
We're always changing. We challenge ourselves to be student-centered, and we'd love to talk with more students, but our goal is to continue being in touch with students and learning about their needs and adapting the app for those needs.
Exactly.
And one other shameless plug, if you're on the wellness area and you like what you've heard in this episode, you can find the other Healthy Illini episodes through the Healthy Illini podcast. Right. So we are there. Please check us out on there. Again, it's a really easy way to stay connected with what's going on in the campus in various aspects. And it's just a great tool to have that's just at your fingertips. We know that we live in an era of immediate access, lightning speed access to all kinds of things. And this is another one that you put in your repertoire to help you through your days as a student, help you through your journey as you're trying to see what comes next for you. But I really appreciate you all coming and talking to us today about this. I'm excited about the app. I'm excited about the developments that are happening, not just in health and wellness, but in the academic side and the social side as well. But health and wellness is a huge component of what's going on with the app and a huge way to help students be successful. So I just want to say thank you. So thank you so much for coming and talking with me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Hope we can come back. We have lots to talk about.
As you're going on this journey, the tools you have and the resources you have around you are so huge. They make a big difference in what you have access to, in the way you are able to get support and find support. And so the Illinois app has really been pushing itself to the forefront on campus of ways to stay connected, of ways to get that support, get those resources. And health and wellness are certainly in that category. You can find all kinds of tools there that can help you set up your days, set up your weeks and months so that you have the best chance to succeed. If you have any questions about it, if you want to follow up, you have questions, comments, concerns, or anything else, please feel free to reach out to us here at Healthy Illini. We would love to talk to you about it. You can contact us at McKinley, and we can put you in contact with whatever your question may be. We can put you in contact with someone who can answer it, because we do want to help. We do want to be a part of that journey. We want to make sure that we are in a position to help you succeed however we can. But thank you for joining us today. You're on a personal journey no matter where you are in it. You are important and you matter. Your health and wellness are important and matter, and we're here to keep you well to excel. So go have a great week, Illini. Let us know how you're doing, and we'll catch you next time on Healthy Illini.